Alexa, stop the goddamn music! I guess the mic works. Hi everyone, it's me. How are you? Shockingly depressed and lethargic with no drive, energy or push to do anything? Yeah, me too. So I went to Sainsbury's the other day and I tried to buy a chunk of comedy, but they didn't have any own brand comedy, so I thought I'd come here and try to make some myself. Pause for laughter. That could have gone better. More of where it came from though. I've seen comedy shows where the comedians like to pick on people in the crowd, you know, especially in the front row, whenever there's like a lull or just an opportunity really. So yeah, I thought I'd do the same, because you know, we need to get on the same wavelength. I need to do a better job with interacting with you guys, you know, get the mood lifted and then the mood lowered again once the bit wears off, which probably didn't have an effect on you anyway. You in the only row, what's your name? Joe. Well, like Joe Blogs. Because, you know, it's a generic, bland name showing my inability to be creative and witty and put on a good show. Am I right? Wait, what was that? It's Joe Mama. So this show, video, whatever you want to call it, I've decided to call a SPEC. Now this is because I wanted to do a full like hour special, but I don't really have the tools or the capability to make something, you know, good and properly shot and actually well made. So it kind of mirrors me and my life in many ways, in that it's not special enough. So if it's shot so poorly and simply, I can't really, you know, like morally call it a special without, you know, like getting on the floor and sliding across it on my belly, you know, like a snake. Yeah, I left that in. I didn't even come up with a title myself. That was the work of an unnamed housemate. But I loved it so much that with you know, Grayson feeling sorry for me, yeah, he let me use it. But yeah, the previous working title was Not Sick, Just Tired, because I'm not sick in the sense of I haven't got COVID, but I am sick in the sense I'm so fucking cool, great banter. Maybe I've got some undiagnosed, untreatable sickness. Says the literal diabetic. Not a nickname I'm hoping catches on. Now obviously this is being done by myself, inside, alone. I can't say I'm not used to that. Yeah, it's the most like low budget, terrible thing ever. I mean, at least my microphone is perfection, but yes. Also, I had the base idea for this in November 2020. But as anyone who knows me would have been able to guess, as soon as I had that initial idea, I then did absolutely nothing with it for ages. You know, I had that one burst of inspiration, you know, one spark, one like singular iota of motivation, and then it's gone. So I had that idea, and then I literally added nothing to it until, yeah, I started working on it, I think May 2021. I know that some people will be wishing that I stopped as soon as I started with this. And unlike anyone in real life, I feel you. And if you are one of the lucky ones who doesn't know me in real life, boy, are you missing out on an experience of neediness and overwhelming desire to be liked. But less about me. Back to the point. Essentially what's happened in the meantime, that I had this idea and then executed on it, was that Bo Burnham decided to announce and then release a special, you know, self-shot all alone inside. So that's great. Not for me doing this right now. You know, I've gone from like one BTEC version of a comedian to another. But you know, we move inches closer to the brink. But for real though, if you haven't seen Inside by Bo Burnham, you've got to check it out. I mean, I watched it like twice, 3 times the same day or the day it was released, and it's fantastic. I mean, this doesn't hold a candle to it, partly because it's being shot in a completely different way, but also partly because Bo Burnham, and that's not just a reference to height. Anyway, don't click off the video just yet. I'm not meaning to be selfish. I just want it to be all about me. You know, I'm just nice like that. Oh, it's hard to be this humble. Obviously, if you want, you can click off the video. I'd rather you didn't and you enjoyed it, but let's be honest, it doesn't get much better from here on in. So, as I mentioned before, this is being shot alone. I may have never tried my hand or tried my mouth at stand-up, but yeah, I am very much used to telling bad jokes to silence. You would think that like having nobody here would maybe make this more awkward, you know, more uncomfortable, but unlike Bernie Sanders, you wouldn't be on the right side for that. See what I did there? Now that's how to be a people pleaser. Toy with the word right to butter both sides of the political bread. We do love an explained joke. Moving on though. This is the first attempt at doing a show or a video like this. Even though I'm basically filming it in the same way that I filmed the other ones, except this time I'm randomly, you know, cutting to the camera in different places to get all those, you know, sexy angles. Even though I'm not making myself remember all of this in one go, my memory is disgracefully bad, so the odds of me even remembering 2 lines at a time are incredibly low. Or high. I'm not a gambling man. I mean, you can see for yourselves that I barely classify as a man. Is classify the right word there? I feel like that would be more appropriate if I was being discovered as like a new species of virgin or something. Scientists have never before found someone with quite so little self-esteem. It's not quite the claim to fame I would have wanted, but I am definitely one to complain. Luckily I have the power of masterful editing on my... See, I don't know about you, but I'm depressed. To let you guys know like how bad my mental state is and how on the brink I am. A while ago I was playing Rocket League on PS4. Other consoles are available, such as the PS5, which seems to be harder to obtain than happiness. Anyway, yeah, I was playing Rocket League, which, if you don't know Rocket League, it's a game where you basically have little, like, toy RC cars, and you basically play football with them against, you know, toxic, angry, homophobic 14-year-olds. And yes, I'm aware this is giving major old man yells at cloud vibes. Either way, I conceded a last-minute goal because I love a good self-sabotage, and I seemingly enjoy pain. And yeah, obviously I was fuming. It was stupid o'clock at night, and I'd spent the whole time just getting battered. Really, should I change that to Call of Duty to make a battered on COD joke? No. Okay. Yeah. Either way, I thought enough's enough. I'm going to call it quits, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to get some food. What should I get? I remember not thinking, because this, much like the aftermath of my potential suicide, was very much a no-brainer. I got Weetos, because A, I'm a child, and B, fuck you, they're godly. Also, because I can't concentrate on one thing at a time, a little side note, let me tell you about this house. The kitchen's below the street, but it's sort of still on ground level. Like, when you walk in the front door, you have to go down the stairs to get to the kitchen where I unimpressively stand before you now. But on my left is the garden. So I'm not underground, but I'm not on the street level. It's actually probably pretty common thinking about it now, but to me it's still, it's still a bit bizarre. Now, ever the antisocial, I picked a room on the first floor, or second floor, I guess. And that's because, every time it meant that every time I wanted food, I also gave myself the option to just throw myself down the stairs, And also, coming down here, there's a second set, so if I failed the first time, I had another go, I had another opportunity laid out right before me. If at first you don't throw yourself down the stairs, try again. That's my motto. So the other night, I walked out of my room, or the depressed zone, as I like to call it. Yeah, never called it that in my life. Never called it anything. I have christened the house Chaddington Station though, but that's a different story. I mean, long one short, I don't know if you could tell, but we're all major Chads. You should especially be able to tell by looking at thy spokesperson for Chad kind, which is quite clearly me. Anyway, so I walked down the stairs. I didn't trip up going down the stairs. I didn't trip up down the stairs. I didn't trip down the stairs. I didn't trip. Drug free. Luckily insulin counts as a hormone, so I can use that joke. Damn, being diabetic's totally worth it now. 15 years of my life expectancy for a joke about, misplacing a step and not getting baked on the nose flower, smoking the doobs, taking a trip down the Rainbow Road, which is just a normal road for anyone in Brighton not off their face. So about 3 people in Brighton. What a banter, 'cause everyone's high here. Swiftly back to my depression. I walk down the stairs. End of convoluted story. Not quite. But yeah, I was thrilled because, finally, I managed to do something with competence. Hurrah! I exclaimed, so loudly that I woke up my housemate, who promptly decided to smack me in the head with a skateboard. I wish. Anyway, funnily enough, I also managed to conquer the second set of stairs. Fucking conquer. Like I'm Julius fucking Caesar for being able to walk up some stairs with 2 fully functioning legs. So after that masterful domination of some wood, so I poured my cereal, realised I nearly finished the box, had a small heart attack, but it was fine because, as previously attested to, Chad. And so I went on my merry way, I had YouTube on my phone in one hand and I had cereal and water in the other. So now I was faced with a challenge of walking up some stairs as a double-legged variant of human. Managed the first set of stairs with absolute perfection. Would have been hard to improve on that. Pretty much nailed it. Yeah, I don't give myself credit, too often, but I will say I fucking smashed that. The second set was much like the first, to be honest. Can't complain too much. And then I got to the small landing at the top. For the final literally 3 steps. And the first one, I just full on whack into it. It wasn't even close. I full on punted it like I was kicking a child or something. Sorry. I apologise. That was wrong of me. That was wrong, and I'm sorry. I hope you can forgive me. Cancelled. Let's try again. So I whack into the step. It wasn't even close. I just I full on punted it like I was kicking a crying child in Getaway all the way across the channel. But for me, this happened in slow motion. The milk shot out, going everywhere, covering everything. Don't take that out of context. The Weetos were thrown out so far, it was like they tried to flee. Sounds familiar. As in people leaving, not me being a Weeto. Yeah, but honestly, it was laughable that they thought there was any chance of survival, really. Because a Weeto being sentient isn't what's funny there. Now, obviously, I thought it all gone to shit, you know. There's not much longer in this in the tenancy for this rented place, and I've just gone and blasted chalky milk all over the place. I genuinely had the thought of killing myself has become more of a when and not an if. Yeah, it was like 7 Weetos and the carpet looked no different. But that's the sort of like shallow, thin, cracked ice that I'm mentally treading on. I hope that was a satisfying conclusion to the story. Also, sorry Emily. I've never really been comfortable with the idea of this. Like, I don't mean life in general, although that's accurate, but I mean the idea of me sat at a computer and then, you know, stood up here and just talking about myself, having everything all be about me, you know? Like, everything I ever write is all just like, I, and now, ironically, this is, again, just me talking about myself. And it does feel weird to say, even to 3 people in this case, like, hey, listen to me, you know, not anyone with a valued opinion, but, you know, someone with a 9-year-old's voice in a 15-year-old's body who's actually a 20-year-old. It's not really the formula, you know, for building public speakers. I mean, nobody wants what is essentially a 15-year-old who doesn't even know, like, the difference between effect and affect, who started out this show with a fucking Joe Mama joke, and who had a breakdown over a bowl of Weetos and a set of stairs to tell them, you know, their opinion on politics or society or the world or anything, really. And yet here I am. I'm still here, hoping you'll, you know, listen and care to whatever useless drivel I've puked onto you for the past however long it's been and will unfortunately continue to be. I know you shouldn't care. I know you don't really care. But I'm still, like, the ugly dog, like, pawing its nonchalant owner, just like, oh, please look at me, please love me, please pat me on the head. Now, I'm aware that this isn't, like, standard comedy stuff, you know? Not in an arrogant, like, ooh, take a look at what this guy's doing, wow, what a trendsetter type way. Because I'm aware that, you know, being depressing and introverted isn't new. You know, I'm stupid, but I'm not an idiot, right? So I know that. But basically, I had no idea what to write. Yeah, no idea what to do for this. So as I said before, like, I had the initial idea. I thought, oh, that could be a funny concept. And then I left it at that. So when I came back to it, all that inspiration and all those ideas are kind of, you know, dissipated at that point. I was just left with myself and a blank document, which is almost riskier place to be as Croydon. Riskier, in fact. Because in Croydon, all you're limited to is going to Box Park, getting stabbed, or doing a stabbing. So writing a quote-unquote comedy show is worse, actually. It's just a fact. I suppose some drugs could be done. That's how people who take drugs talk about taking drugs. It's like, oh, golly gosh, I guess some drug inhalation could be undertaken at this particular moment. That's Drug Talk 101. How do you do, fellow kids? I've never done any drugs. Shocker. I've never had any alcohol either. I am single if anyone's interested. What a fucking catch. Here's the rundown. Anxious. Depressed. Type 1 diabetic. Introverted. Doesn't drink. Doesn't smoke. Doesn't do drugs. Feet barely touch the floor when I'm sitting in a chair. And to top it all off, the other month I was diagnosed with a neurodevelopmental disorder, which includes like autism and ADHD type impairments. So, who's interested? Just friends? Still no? I'm not sure when this turned into me trying to ship myself off, and no, that's not a euphemism. But yeah, it won't surprise you to know that I am very alone. That's your cue to collectively feel bad for me. I'm like a human vote of no confidence, except I'm not in anyone. But no, I am very much single, and I do struggle to talk to people and meet people. You know, again, I'm not a gambling man, but I'm guessing you could have inferred based on my, overall vibe. I don't think I scream like alpha male, strong-minded, will beat you into submission. And if I do, I'm really sorry. What can I do to make you like me? Oh, I'm so sorry. Please like me. No. That was horrible. I'm going to just leave it at that. Back to what I was saying before I accurately described myself and then had a panic attack. I'm the most boring person alive. Like, I can kind of use the diabetes to mask the scent. Like, if someone at a party, hilarious, right, asks me like, oh, why don't you drink? And I can just say, oh, I'm type 1 diabetic, and then we can move on and be acquaintances who will never speak again. Whereas if I just said I don't drink because it was kind of initially my way of pushing back against, societal pressure and what people expected me to do when I got older. So and when I became diabetic, it kind of reinforced that desire to not partake in something that I've seen, cripple people and cause further health problems, both mental and physical. And even though I've had, some dark days ongoing for multiple years consecutively, where I have thought about drinking, I still haven't done it because it's sort of like an oath to myself at this point. Like, I've held out for so long that if I gave in now and started doing it, then I feel like I've let myself down, and I'd hate myself for that even more than I already do. So yeah, that's why I don't drink. If I said that, it might potentially kill the mood. Oh, here's a funny story. I was messaging this girl once, right? And then we never spoke again. Wasn't funny? Yeah, it wasn't for me either. Oh, well, here's a lighter bit. I'm on fire. Despite using the same childish jokes a million times over, I do feel like I've grown recently. Not physically, of course. That would be crazy. Hasn't happened since about 2012. And when the world ended, God decided so would my dream of being taller than a teenager's bicycle. I think I have gained some perspective, and by that I mean I'm in a constant deep state of regret and embarrassment. Thinking back to things I've said or done or even just thought, and I think, maybe death's not so bad. An example of this, in terms of me gaining perspective, not suicidal people. I mean, this isn't Kill Yourself Weekly magazine. What a name that is, though. Look at me go, making all this comedy. Hey guys, look at this freshly baked comedy. Right out of ideas. Oh shit, I've lost my will to live. Guess it's gone. I'll stick with the story one of these days. Today? Nah. Not today. What I was going to say before I rudely interrupted myself for the 1000th time was an example of how my perspective on things have changed, which was when I was diagnosed diabetic. Story time, kids, and adults with single-digit mental ages. We're going all the way back to 2012 for this one, which I'm still adamant is 3 years ago. Okay, I'll tell the whole story, and then you'll know at what point I'm talking about, perspective from then until now. Okay, so in 2012, about October, November time, I got a flu, and it was a pretty bad one. I mean, horrible, really horrific. I couldn't imagine a worse flu illness. I don't think it's possible. Yeah, it's just not feasible, really. Nobody has ever or will ever experience a flu quite like that. You know, 0 out of 10 would not recommend. But it's just one of those things, you know. I get it all the time. Either way, I had a flu. I think I missed like a day or two of school, but then when I got back, you know, it was all fine. Hitting the ground running, getting C's and being generally invisible to everyone. And then my mum noticed that I went from drinking, you know, approximately no water, like 0 units of water, like nil amounts of L water, to like 12 to 13 glasses a day. And but believe me, I was pissing like a hose in a punctured inflatable pool. Like, it was just constant. Like, it was constant pissing. Like, at velocity. It wasn't like none of this like wimpy pissing, you know? It was like full manly Chad pissing. So yeah, that wasn't normal. So we booked a doctor's appointment. Bearing in mind this was December, January time now, over the Christmas holidays. I was never like a fat kid. Like, I was chubby, but I was never like legitimately fat. But I'd still lost a lot of weight at this point. And if there was any alcohol in like a 5 mile radius, I would have just blacked out entirely. But yeah, they made me get up at like 8 or 9 in the morning for this appointment, and you know, bearing in mind as a 12-year-old, I wanted to sleep forever. See, now I want to do that for a different reason: depression. So yeah, and they made me, before the appointment, they made me not eat, which was difficult to do because, I mean, at the time, I don't know, maybe it was because of the lost weight, but yeah, I was eating a lot. It was like 5 meals a day at that point. It was like a bodybuilder, except not healthy or nutritional, just cereal. I was like a cereal vacuum at this point. It was just like, if there was any in the house at all, it would magnetize to me, and I just immediately inhale it. But yeah, so they said don't eat anything before the appointment, and I miserably did what I was told. Fucking sheeple, man. Listening to doctors, what a moron. So the doctor then said I needed to piss in a cup for them to sniff or something. I don't know. I mean, I was happy to oblige. I was pretty good at it. I've lost my mojo recently, but I'm sure I'll get it back if I ever get old. So I did that, and based on what I said to the doctor, my mum did all the talking, and I just sat there looking at the floor. They said that, you know, I might be type 1 diabetic, which is news that you want to hear as a child who's scared of literally everything. And they told me to go straight to the hospital. Like, do not pass go, do not collect 200. And obviously I went because I'm a beta male and I do what I'm told. Not because I value doctors' opinions and don't want to die. I bet that part comes as a shock to some of you. So I get to the hospital, it's probably noon at this point, still haven't eaten, and we're speaking to someone who's really, really sweet and nice, who's, you know, sat there trying to explain that I'm definitely diabetic, but in a way that's not like blunt or harsh, because, you know, traumatizing a child. Not one for the resume. Oh, by the way, I should mention that we were talking to someone who worked at the hospital. It wasn't just someone like in the waiting room, you know, with like a severed hand and an eye patch, or that's a pirate. Yeah, I just described a pirate. Can't be cracking any jokes about them. You know, like the Kraken from Pirates of the Caribbean. Anyway, I'm talking to this nice lady, and then this dude just walks in, like, has a quick scan of the paperwork, and just goes, yep, he's diabetic. Hope. Gone. The woman tried to salvage it, bless her. She was like, well, you know, there's a chance, maybe, potentially, it's possible that... And this dude just cut her off, and he was just like, nope, not a chance, 100% diabetic. So he gave her the papers back, and this dude just straight up leaves. He just walks out of the room. Like, fucking, what? Like, what a bizarre sequence. A guy just walks into a room, drops a life-altering bombshell on a child, and then just fucking leaves as nothing happened. Like, what? That's insanity. So, I was just sat there trying to, like, process what the fuck just happened. No time for that, though, as a stabbing had been required. So, I whisked away to another room, chucked on a bed, and I have a needle stuck in my arm. It's probably about 3 p.m. at this point, still not eaten. So now with an uncomfortable needle in my arm and my blood visible outside my body. Not a massive fan of that situation, really. I could think of better ways to spend a day. Quite a few, actually. I'm laying there for a while, and this same doctor guy just waltzes in, sits right in front of my bed, and he whips out a BLT, and he just like he starts going to town on this thing, like a lion on a gazelle, like bacon hanging out his mouth, lettuce flying everywhere, tomato also there, and I'm just staring at this dude like he knows that I haven't eaten all day. Like, he's read the files, he knows the situation, he knows that when they think that somebody might be diabetic, they make them not eat before the appointment. So he knows. He's a doctor. He knows. And this dude makes eye contact with me as he's going off on this sandwich, like dead in the eyes. Just, man, if I wasn't a small, shy, weak, diabetic child medically tied to a hospital bed, I would have done something about it, passive aggressively, maybe. And you can take that to the bank. Yeah. So obviously I was fuming, but this is where the perspective comes in. At the time, I took this as like a personal attack. Like, this is something that a dickhead was doing to annoy me, and it was calculated. Like, he knew what he was doing and where he was doing it. But obviously now I think that, maybe he wasn't, potentially. Because, being a doctor is one of the hardest jobs you can do. Like, doing incredibly crucial, hard work for ridiculous hours at a time with, like, next to no breaks. He was blunt probably because he had other stuff that was significantly more important, and, he didn't have time or energy to worry about a 12-year-old's hurt feelings, And he was probably, eating that sandwich in a hurry because he was probably like after a long shift and he was starving, and he probably only had like a short amount of time to eat anyway. So yeah, I didn't think about that at the time. So even though I never said anything to him or anything like that, I still get embarrassed to this day. Like, I was 12 years old and it was just a thought. It was a thought. And now I'm 20 and I'm still hanging on that. Like, are you beginning to understand, like, how my brain works? They did the blood test and all that, and I got taken to the ward, but I wasn't allowed to eat yet because there was, procedures they had to do, tests they had to do, things that they had to teach me. Like, they had to teach me what I had to do for every, meal time for the rest of my life. But they also had to teach me, like, the science behind it, so I fully understood what I was doing. So I had to wait and wait and wait and wait. And then my mum said that my dad and my brother were on their way from work and school, respectively, and they were going to bring me some McDonald's. Which, like, as a 12-year-old, and a ridiculously picky eating one at that, it was like hearing that, aliens had come to Earth and were giving me my own UFO. Like, it was euphoria. But yeah, then they got stuck in traffic. My family, not aliens. So I waited more, and then eventually they arrived with the food, and it was freezing cold. Like, the chips were like 2x4s. But I didn't complain. It was the best meal I've ever had. And it hasn't been topped to this day. That was January 2013. It's now June 2021. I've not had a better meal than that. Happy ending to the story. To quote the Impractical Jokers, well, there was a nurse there who was talking me through, like, what I had to do every meal time and how to actually do the injections I'm obliged to do by the Lord, creator of all diseases. And with hindsight, obviously, I'm again completely sympathetic with this nurse. But she had to do my first ever injection, and she must have done it wrong because she jabbed the needle into my stomach. It was about here. I don't know why I did that. So she jabbed the needle into my stomach, and it must have been wrong because it was incredibly painful, but also like I was left with a purple bruise on my stomach for months, and I've never had anything like that at any other point in my life. Now that's an introductory lesson, you know. It's like your instructor totaling the car in your first driving lesson, or your parents like kicking you over as you take your first steps. This is the special of drop kicking adolescence, apparently. Branding, marketing. Oh, here's another cold little rock solid. Other brands are available. McDonald's nugget for you. The doctors couldn't say like exactly, specifically why or how I became diabetic. There was no like solid example or reason. But what they did say was what they thought it might be, which was when I had that flu in October or November that time. What they think happened was that my immune system saw my pancreas as some kind of malicious attacker and thought, oh, we got to get rid of this, and so they just went at it and you know, got rid of it. I mean, essentially, I disabled myself. Like, I did this to myself. DJ Khaled meme intensifies. Like, self-sabotage level 1000. Trust nobody. Not even yourself. Not even your own immune system. That's not a person. See, what I've done there is I've used up my only story. Like, being diabetic is making up for my all-encompassing void of a personality, which I've decided to put on full display on YouTube for everyone, in theory, to see. You know, maybe it's not so bad, because the only people watching this will be people I know, or people so far down the YouTube rabbit hole that they've, you know, already lost enough sanity that, you know, maybe this is entertaining for them. A person not being able to speak properly. Hey, how's it going? How are you liking the show so far? Oh, really? Surprising. Okay, cut. 3, 2, 1. Oh, really? Not at all surprising. How am I liking it? Well, some bits okay, some not so much, just the way it goes, you know. Just taking a little break, just to run some errands, be productive. You know, I don't want to leave my plates, you know, drying for a couple of days. I would never do that. Well, glad to hear you're okay, or sorry you're not. It's a weird time, although some were treating it no differently. Coventry. Yeah, I may have mentioned this 1 or 2 thousand times, but I am an introvert, and my wife, she was an introvert as well, until she left me, and then, you know, she was suddenly extroverted. I think it's time to get back to more of the stuff at the same level, I guess. Alright, see you on the other side. Lockdown's been a vastly different time for a lot of us, really. Even though we've, you know, all been under the same constricting, not necessarily a criticism, rules. For me, that's what this is all about, you know, some Truman Show bullshit. But for me, it's been, yeah, it's been not good. Bad. I think I could say bad. I mean, it's not been bad for the billionaires who, you know, multiplied their fortunes, but... Ooh, Tom taking on the corporate elite? Most dogs wouldn't say that lockdown's been bad. Partly because they can't speak. I mean, that's one reason. The main one, really. But also because, you know, they have their owners around to love them and feed them 24/7. I wonder what that's like. Being loved, not having an owner. My point though is that, you know, before I veered off into oncoming traffic, is that everyone's gone through a different experience of this, you know? Like, some people started making art, some started making music, you know, some people started creating products, some started streaming, others, you know, wrote depressing things in a Google Doc and hoped to say them in front of a camera in a weird way that makes something funny out of stuff that inherently isn't. You know, that kind of stuff. But for me, like, in a purely like creative sense, it has been a slight positive. I wanted to start a YouTube channel and like start doing things like this as a kid, but you know, back then I was too shy, too nervous, too awkward, too anxious, too busy. And now, well, at the start of lockdown, I thought, you know, now's as good a time as any to give this a go. Not even just from a sense of like, oh, I've got, you know, nothing to do, I can't go outside, all that, but more from a point of deadly virus, type 1 diabetic whose immune system gives him colds in summer. Like, if I got this thing, I thought like someone's gonna have to put a coffin on hot wash immediately for me. And yeah, so it was kind of a shove in the back to just, you know, get on and do something. And it worked, you know, for a time. I enjoyed it. It was good fun. And then, you know, that sort of faded as life stomped on my head a little bit. But now, you know, now I'm back. And you're all thrilled about it? Now here's the part where I attack women. No, obviously not. But I'm not a raging sexist, but this is how you start a joke, guys. If anyone's wondering, like, how do I go about starting a joke? That's how, with the precision and skill of a tattoo artist. On speed. Where I'm going with this is I've seen in person and online quite a lot. We have, you know, this nice guys finish last thing. And you have guys who claim they're nice guys, persistently saying they're nice guys, which inadvertently makes the people they're pursuing think otherwise. But it's a thing of like, guys saying, oh, girls don't want nice guys, and then the girls going after not so nice guys. Yeah, so that with the girls going after the bad boys, like, I slightly understand it. My little pea brain can just about, you know, wrap around the concept. A bit like Trump's belt. Like it's close, but I'm just about managing. What I don't understand though is like the thought process behind like, oh, I'm gonna seek out a bad boy who is like by definition an arsehole. Like, you like the twattishness about them. That's what's, you know, attractive, and the fact that they don't like conform or bend over or think rationally. You like that about them. But then when they are twats, then you're sat there like, oh, how could he do this to me? You know, I thought I changed him. Is that not a bit like owning a tiger and then being shocked when it tries to rip your face off? Like, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I mean, I'm not saying that the self-proclaimed nice guys are actually any better. Preferring like brutal upfront shit behaviour as opposed to like deceptively snaky shit behaviour, you know, maybe that's it. Tiger versus snake. Pick your brutal way to die until you find your goat. Like, greatest of all, clarification time. It's that time of year again. Yeah, so I get the hurt. I'm not condoning the dickish behaviour. I understand the pain that you go through, but I don't understand the thought process of then, you know, picking those same people and going after those same type of people that are just causing you pain. Guys, do better. Girls, find better. I don't know. I mean, with a pandemic and online dating and stuff, it's not exactly easy to find better at this point. COVID-19, the premier cock block, or slot stopper. I'm 20 years old now, nearly 21. Yes, not 14, I know. My birthday is coming up quite soon. You know, if you want to get me anything, a noose, a will to live, you know, take initiative. Be creative with your desire for my physical and mental state. Yes, I'm an adult now, which is weird to say. Don't like it. I do not like it. Responsibilities, spending money on food and bills, and not Top Gear cards and Lego Star Wars sets. Not a fan. Don't like that at all. People say all the time when you're a teenager and when you're a kid, they're like, oh, you know, you gotta enjoy school now because when you're out of it, you're gonna miss it. I was like, I don't know if this is just because like I haven't joined the real world yet and like I'm sort of in vocational purgatory, but I remember hating school. I'm sure not even just for me, but like for a lot of people in school, trying to manage like the anxiety that comes with, you know, making friends, keeping friends, you know, with the drama and the fights, while also like trying to not fail every subject possible and going through your body having all these changes, and your face becoming like spotty as if it's like ribbed for her pleasure. A tad ironic for a lot of people, that one. I never really had spots too much. You know, I was more of a real feel. Maybe that's why I went wrong, you know? How dare I be so selfish? Happy Pride Month, by the way. The word gay isn't an insult, so stop trying to say it as one. How about that? Have you tried that? I've seen a lot of people on the internet and, you know, on games, like particularly like Rocket League, as I mentioned before, that absolutely can't get enough of calling, you know, situations or people gay. Sometimes I do wonder if the obsession with that word is a bit telling. Anyway, I think words like that get ingrained on kids' minds, like it's being scratched on a desk in an English classroom with a compass or something, or just a blade, you know. They probably carry them. But it's one thing dreaming about stabbing mathematical equipment into adolescent minds. But it's different for a kid and an adult with, you know, a bigger brain, life experience and perspective. Because, like, the kids don't really understand what they're saying. They just, you know, throw it about, like, every possible insult. I mean, maybe that's how you solve it. Hit them where it hurts. Their creativity. Their creativity. That joke feels familiar, so sorry if I stole that. Instincts and all that. I mean, even at school I said shit like that, you know? I'm not proud of it, but that was just kind of the environment I was in, you know? You know, trying to say the most outrageous and offensive shit, you know, push the boat out, try to make people laugh and try to make friends. So I can see why as an adult, when it's kind of like, you know, scratched into your head, that it's hard to shake when you know, it's hard to shake a word in your vocabulary that you've been saying for, you know, like 10 times a day, 5 days a week for however many years. I can see why that instinct doesn't, like, easily go away. Like Piers Morgan. Or cancer. Is that joke okay to say? Like, will I get sued if someone's like, oh, you can't lump Piers Morgan and cancer together? I'd never compare the two. I mean, I wouldn't want to ruin cancer's reputation like that. Boom! Humour! But yeah, no. Anyway, I can see it. As in why the kids would say, not like comparing the. Like, okay. But you've got to put some effort in, man. Or in a man. Maybe you're a kinesthetic learner. Yeah, but you've got to cut out that word in derogatory context. Like, I don't go around saying, oh, look at all these fucking nincompoops, even though it's a word that I've heard countless times and was a common word heard in school. But it doesn't, like, give me the right to say it, especially in a negative connotation at all. I was terrified when I first started drinking coffee because I'm overdramatic, but But because obviously of the caffeine, I was told like it would keep you up at night, you know. So I was petrified every single time I had it, because I thought, oh, if I have a coffee at like 2 p.m, then I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be kept awake all night and I'm never gonna sleep again, which obviously isn't true. It's my anxiety and deep paranoia like that keep me up now. What I actually found was it didn't really seem to affect me at all. It doesn't give me energy, but it doesn't keep me awake. It very much parallels me in real life in terms of it just does nothing. I'm on such an even and flat, albeit low plane, that it doesn't really do much to alter that too much. I'm tired permanently, it doesn't like perk me up, but then later on it doesn't really keep me up because I'd be up anyway. I was strangely nervous about bringing up the topic of coffee because my god, are there some like aggressive gatekeepers out there. Apparently, so I've been told by Twitter experts and drain-dwelling swamp people, that if it's not black coffee, then it's not really coffee. Yeah. Cool. There must be like a Venn diagram crossover for these things where it's like people who only like the older stuff even though the newer stuff is obviously better. Like, they will fully die on that hill. Like Jack and Jill. R.I.P. by the way. Like, okay, natural coffee in its original form is the only thing that could be classified as coffee, because anything else like added to it to kind of just tone down the bitterness is morally wrong. Cars with power steering should be banned. Like, do you have a birthday bowl of egg and flour every year? Like, what I'm trying to say is, like, to the most like grandiose extent, just let people enjoy what they enjoy. Like, if it's not hurting anyone, then you tearing them down is completely needless. Yeah, slightly hypocritical given my nitpicks and frustrations with most things in life, especially on social media. But as I'm self-aware, I technically can't be wrong. Like, I can be absolved of anything, any wrongdoing, because I've said that I know that I'm doing it. So that's fine. That's morally sound. Legally, I have a kind of love-hate relationship with social media. Like, it's like some Stockholm syndrome type shit. Like, it lured me in when I was a kid, poisoned my brain, hurt me beyond belief. But I'm still addicted to it, and I can't get enough. But I still hate it. Like, I spend most of my time just like on my phone cycling through the same like 3 or 4 apps, hoping for something new and exciting, or even just something to read to pass the time, so that my brain can go on autopilot and just shut off from reality. But also the stuff that I actually process with my noggin is either just unnecessary or damaging, or both, smooshed into one. Smoosh. Social media is a bit like smoking, where it's something to do that kind of helps take your mind elsewhere, and it can relax you a little bit, but it's also very easy when you're doing it to forget that it's actually quite harmful, because it kind of just passes through you. Another descriptive phrase. If I smoked and my voice still sounded like this, I would have quit already. Like, that would be the only reason to pick up a cigarette. So I didn't sound like a 12-year-old in the front of a maths lesson, and more like, a talent show announcer. But some of the stuff I see on social media, it just makes me sick. Like, I've smoked 10 packs a day. Is that a lot? Not a lot? Does that make you sick or dead? Don't know. Don't smoke. I'm sure smokers are loving me using this analogy when I have fuck all clue what I'm talking about. But a prime example of, vomit-inducing, generationally arse-licking bullshit on social media is the Snapchat Discover page. Like, some of the stuff I see on there, my god. Like, who thought to post it? Who's clicking on that? Why does it exist? Why would they click on it? I'll show you some examples. I won't just like ask questions angrily with rising blood pressure and then just leave it alone. His hair is grapes. I mean, this is entertainment now? Like, how low are we stooping? Why does this need to be in my life? Why would you click on that? It looks vile. It sounds vile. Get the fuck away from me. Your weekly dose of nightmare fuel. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't need more nightmare fuel than I've already got. Like, I'm still scared of the dark. I am 20 years old. I am 7 feet tall. I am a 600 IQ individual. But as soon as the lights go off, I'm reduced to a 5'5" boy. There are so many good things about social media, but it's just an intellectual void a lot of the time. Like, it's just filled with maniacal radicalists whose only goal is to racially abuse teenagers. Like, so there are drawbacks, and a lot of. Do you reckon I should stop reusing this editing job? Now I know what you're thinking, Tom. You've repeatedly called this a comedy show or comedy video. Whatever it is, you've specifically, repeatedly called it comedy. So why is it basically just you saying you want to kill yourself? Why isn't this funny? Well, the answer is, well, I've said that because I wrote this in hopes of me creating a new personality, and doing that over and over again until I find one with the humour trait attached. Now, I've clearly run out of time, because I'm currently stuck with one that has the universal bore trait attached. So that was a mistake. But also what this is something that I think is sniffle funny. You don't fully laugh, but you kind of just have a little exhalation out of your nose. Well, I mean, maybe it's not. It was for me writing it. I'm too shit scared performing this right now to have any sort of rational thought or feeling. But also what it is, like, not to break it down too much, that's, for something that's by nature observational and deconstructing, but it's something that helps me, and I'm hoping that it could maybe help one of you too. That's the aim anyway. I've always wanted to be funny, and I've always liked the idea of trying to do stand-up, but the sheer anxiety of performing live without any mistakes in front of a buttload of people and cameras and all that. I mean, even for people without anxiety, it's terrifying. So I guess writing things that I find funny, but also with kind of a serious subject matter, is almost therapeutic for me. Because, by God, I need it. Instead, I write at 3 a.m. and do stand-up attempts in my own kitchen. I mean, here I can try stand-up, without the live audience. And, I can make cuts. I can cut and slash things. It's the Croydon instincts coming back again. Nature is healing. But seriously, opposed to whatever the hell this part of the show's been, it has been genuinely hard to write stuff when, you can't even sometimes bring yourself to move because, your brain don't work like it used to. And yeah, I mean, I'd like this to help you too, ideally. I mean, I've seen, a few shows like Inside or Make Happy that, they've helped me a lot because they're funny, but they don't gloss over like real subjects and real feelings and anxiety and it's not just all like making fun of somebody's actions or picking apart something in politics. It's it's about you, like at your core, which, yeah, it's helped me a lot. So, I mean, if this can, help anyone, even have a smidgen of an impact, there probably is theoretically, but they won't click on this. Right. I wanted to make something, stupid and funny, but also serious at times, because I guess, like, I'm not happy. So doing anything like otherwise, or making it seem otherwise, seemed like I don't know. It seemed really disingenuous. Like, this has all been about me, because that's all I feel I can really write about and talk about, is like my own feelings, my own perspective on things. So, like, yeah, it has to be about, like, what I think, what I feel, like how things are going for me. And as of now, not great. I've heard crippling mental illness can do that to a person. Allegedly. Alleged. It's all alleged. Sad until proven depressed, or something like that. Blessed until proven stressed. Now, I've seen a few things, videos, specials, things like that are really funny, but they also deal with, like, serious subject matters, And I'll let you in on a bit of an industry secret here. In order to do that, what you've got to do is, and I'm being honest here, is be good at it. I'm becoming very aware that there's no, like, discrete bits to this. Like how you see on YouTube, it's like, I don't know whose stand-up you watch, like James Acast's hilarious story about a banana in Pret-a-Manger, and then it's a dude on stage in front of hundreds of people talking about bruised bananas, which is surprisingly not a euphemism. Well, maybe it's not that surprising if it's been set in a coffee shop, but you catch my drift. You get my flow. You pick up what I put down. You have clicked off the video. Fair enough. Surprised it took you so long. This is going to be unclippable, untitleable. I did have a few other titles besides a SPEC and, not sick, just tired. Like #sad, or little British boy gets dominated by his brain for 40 minutes. It's not hugely marketable. Maybe all three of you could put your title suggestions in the comments. Audience participation and all that. Maybe we can break some, like, YouTube record where we can get, like, more comments than views or something stupid. I'd just like to quickly give my thoughts on the world, really. And I know that most people won't want to hear, what a 20-year-old's opinion on society is, but I just thought it necessary to, as a white man, lend my incredibly and deservingly so crucial voice to the matter, So my opinion on the world. It's fucked. Goodbye. Oh, by the way, just in case you were at all worried, I'm not going to kill myself. I just want to.